everyone, I'm Hotel Delta, and today what I got for you guys is a Infinite Warfare multiplayer beta video. And I've been waiting a little bit of a while to do this because I wanted to get some proper hands-on time with the beta so I could come out with a pretty good sort of review as in what the game is like in its current build. Even though the beta is a old version of the game, and even before the beta was released, I'm fairly sure that the game would be very different because they had already been working on a later build. But either way, I kind of wanted to talk about the game as it is at the moment and what I felt about it. And to be honest, it is mostly positive, but I do want to put out the negative comments out there as well, just to make sure, because that's what a beta is for, right? So it's about feedback and stuff, and we want to make sure the developers know about the issues that lie within the game as well, to make sure they get ironed out for the release. I think the game has gone gold now. They are probably working on a day one patch to kind of sort out any of the problems that people have found in the beta, so we'll go over them in a minute. But first I kind of want to talk about the things that set Infinite Warfare apart from previous Call of Duty games. So it feels a lot to me that there was a huge inspiration from Treyarch on the developing of Infinite Warfare multiplayer. A lot of the things they've done with this multiplayer this time around is not usual of Infinity Ward. Usually they would go down a different route, and this time they've taken more of an approach that Treyarch would take, and it leads me to feel like this game is kind of like what I'd imagine a Black Ops 4 to be like, which is not a bad thing at all, because Black Ops 3 was a really good game. Yes, it had its problems, and there were things people didn't like about it, as is with every Call of Duty game, but in the grand scheme of things, I felt the BO3 was a solid entry in the franchise. Infinite Warfare seems to take everything that was good about Black Ops 3 and then makes it even better or perfects it in some areas, so I think that's really good, although it does have its own problems. So we'll try and break this down a little bit. Firstly, let's talk about something that was a really big push in Black Ops 3, and that was the specialist hero system. So in Black Ops 3, if you were unaware, you'd have these characters that were all very unique and separate called specialists, and this was integrated into the multiplayer in a way that made it essential, so that you had to pick a specialist and you could either choose their specialist weapon or their specialist ability. Each character had one of them. There were 9 specialists and eventually 10 if you include Blackjack as well, the mercenary. The specialist weapon was you would earn all these in game with a specialist meter in the bottom right of your HUD that would sort of speed up over time, and if you performed any scoring events like kills, assists, it would accelerate faster, so the better players would earn their specialist weapon or ability faster. The weapons would usually take longer to earn than the abilities, and the weapons you'd have for a limited amount of time. They've had limited ammo, but they were superly overpowered. They were designed to be that way, to give you like a moment of power. And then the abilities were things that would help you and your team in battle, things like making you have extra health for a short amount of time, like kinetic armor and stuff like that. In Infinite Warfare, they kind of take that that idea and they integrate it a little bit better. So this time around, these specialists are called combat rigs. There are 6 of them, not 9. They are a little bit more individual this time round. Each of them has 3 payloads, which you can imagine are basically your specialist weapon and specialist ability combined into one thing, which are the payloads. There are 3 of them for each combat rig, and you can choose one of them. And then you have a completely new thing as well, which each character has by default, which is traits. So you have 3 of them, and you can choose one of them as well. The traits are kind of like persistent perks. Kind of think of them like pro perks. They're like really good perks that are tied to the combat rigs. And basically, when you choose a combat rig, you're also choosing 1 out of 3 payloads and 1 out of 3 traits, and you unlock the rest of them as you progress through the game, unlocking them by rank. And each of the different combat rigs suits a different playstyle. So for example, Synaptic is more focused on close quarters, up in your face, run and gun kind of gameplay, which a lot of people like, so you see a lot of people gravitate more towards Synaptic. But if you prefer the kind of stealthy, camping, maybe a little bit more sneaky aspect to Call of Duty, then Phantom is more your go-to guy. He's the kind of similar to Nomad in this game, but he's more focused on stealth, and I think that's a really cool thing. You get a ghillie suit as well, which is good for snipers. Other things they've kind of taken from Treyarch are score streaks. Now, if you don't know, Infinity Ward have always, or not always, but in their more recent Call of Duty games before Infinite Warfare, have gone down something called the strike chains and point streak system, which was very different to score streaks or kill streaks. This time round, for the first time, they've actually adapted what Treyarch pioneered with Black Ops 2, which is score streak rewards. So that's a nice thing to see. They are considered widely superior to other systems in terms of streak rewards, so I'm glad they've integrated that. And for the vast majority of the actual score streaks in this game, they're very similar to what you would see in a Treyarch game. They're much more powerful. They're kind of like the Black Ops 2 score streaks, Black Ops 3 score streaks, sorry, just a little bit different. They're more suited into the theme better. Another thing they've integrated as well, which was kind of a surprise that we got from the beta, I say surprise, but I think a lot of people expected it, but we didn't know it was coming until the beta was launched, and that's the Quartermaster. And this is basically Infinite Warfare's version of the black market. It is essentially exactly the same thing. It's actually surprising how similar they are. So you get rare supply drops and you get common supply drops. The keys in this game are just called keys, whereas in Black Ops 2 you had crypto keys, but it's the same kind of system. It's 30 keys for a rare supply drop and 10 for a common supply drop, same as Black Ops 3. This time round, so far, there are no COD points, but we have to remember, firstly, it's a beta, and secondly, Black Ops 3 didn't have COD points on launch either, so that could happen down the road, but I hope it doesn't, but it could do. But I'm kind of fairly sure it probably will, because Activision will want to capitalize on the loot system in this game. But as the loot system goes, it works so much better in this game. As it is in its current state, if it stays this way, I think it's perfect, because they've integrated another new currency on top of keys called salvage. And you can earn salvage by ranking up your mission teams, and salvage is basically used to craft prototype weapons, which are the new weapon variants in this game. If you remember weapon variants from Advanced Warfare, it's kind of similar here, except they don't have variant stats. Instead, they have gun perks, which are a little bit more stronger this time, so it's a little bit more controversial, but this time you can actually craft them, so you don't need to use supply drops. You can get them in supply drops, but you don't have to, so that's a good thing. It means you don't have to spend money on supply drops if that ever becomes a thing, or you don't have to open supply drops at all. You can just use salvage, but you do get salvage from supply drops as well, which is a nice little bonus. And duplicates are now burned within your supply drop to open, so you don't have to burn duplicates. That's not a separate thing. It happens as you're opening supply drops, and you instantly get the salvage you would earn for burning them as you're opening. So you get a lot of salvage in this game. Also, there's something which is new to Infinite Warfare, which is daily bonuses. So when you first log in for your first time in the day, you will either get bonus keys or bonus salvage. It's random for every player. You can end up getting a lot of keys. Like, I've had 90 bonus keys in one daily bonus, which is worth 3 rare supply drops, which is insane. The salvage, I've earned up to 2,500, I believe, which is worth a legendary prototype weapon craft, which is really good. The crafting in this game is fantastic. I really like how they've done it, so that you have to craft every prototype weapon before the actual weapon that you want to get. So it does work very well. If you earn one in a supply drop, then you can skip that one. So overall, I think with everything that they've integrated, those are the kind of things I noticed that they got from Treyarch. It's done a lot better in this game, which I think is really good. In terms of actual gameplay now, I would say the whole feel of it actually feels like this game is really optimized for next gen. So as you know, this is the first Call of Duty game that isn't coming to last gen, and it really does show, because it seems like everything has been made more to look like it's 1080p 60, like it's more native to that. If you notice in the older games, things like objects and symbols and things were a lot bigger, so you can see them better on the last gen system, because they were mindful when they were making it so they would fit on last gen. This time around, everything just seems like it fits for 1080. Like this wouldn't be able to be downscaled, so it does look a lot nicer. The game looks a lot better than it has in the past. The graphics are really good, resolution, animations, all of that kind of stuff is really nice, and it feels really smooth as well. In terms of now some of the more things that are bad about this game, so we talked about the good, and that's the majority of the game in my opinion. But the bad things, I think, firstly, a lot of people are complaining about the time to kill. So this is something that people really hated with Ghosts. Now, in my opinion, it doesn't bother me. In this game, it hasn't actually bothered me at all, so I'm not going to go out and say it's a negative thing for me, but I'm going to speak on behalf of the majority of what I'm seeing from the community, and a lot of people don't like the time to kill, so I wouldn't mind if it stayed the same, but I also wouldn't mind if it was adjusted slightly. I don't want them to go overboard and make it where it's Halo, where you feel like you're shooting an overshield or something. But to be honest, there are times where you do get melted in this game. I will be honest. There are times where you get literally killed instantly, but it's not that often. It feels more like Black Ops 3 time to kill to me, but like other people might disagree with it. In terms of lethals and equipment, a lot of people have complained about them being too powerful. Now, hear me out on this. I think they should be powerful, because I don't know many people who actually use equipment in Call of Duty, especially in previous Call of Duties. Not many people run a frag grenade, not many people run Semtex, because there's no point in it. In a pick 10 system, which Infinite Warfare has adapted for the first time in an Infinity War game, again, you know, kind of taken on from Treyarch, it's not very practical in some ways to take equipment, because you can just take that off and spend them allocation points elsewhere, like having an extra attachment or an extra weapon, things that are more important. Like, you're going to get much more kills with a secondary for the most part than you are with a lethal. So, you know, the kind of point system there, it kind of doesn't work in the favor of lethals, but in this game the lethals and equipment are actually really deadly. Like, the standard frag grenade in this game isn't a frag grenade, it's called a cluster grenade, and it literally explodes like 3 or 4 times. It's a mad grenade, and it's worth spending your point on because you might get a multi-kill with that, whereas in the past you're lucky if you get 1 kill with a frag grenade. So I like the way it is. If they nerf it a little bit, fair enough, I can see because people are complaining about it. Don't go overboard with it, because if they make the lethals and the equipment weak again, then there's no point in them even being there, to be honest. But now talking about the snipers, because this is something that I'm definitely going to put in the negative, but I know a lot of people might hate me for this, but I do not like the way snipers are done in this game. I think they feel really good and they're fun to use, but I think they're a little bit on the more OP side. I find majority of lobbies I get into, at least half of both teams are using snipers, and they're not just using them in the way a traditional sniper would be used. They're using it back like it's an MW2 montage day, and they go around quick scoping, no scoping everyone, which, you know, each to their own. Some people like that kind of thing. I'm not a fan of it, not because it's unrealistic, just because it's really annoying to be killed like that. But, you know, you can see where the passion comes from the community, the trick shot community, so it might get left alone because there might be an outrage from, you know, trick shotters and stuff if that happens, but I don't like it personally, so I'm going to put it in the negative, and I would like to see that gone, but it doesn't really bother me hugely, but that's just my opinion on that. In terms of the actual payloads and their balancing, I think they're really, really good. I think the Eraser is my favourite, but honestly, like, all of them are really good. There's none of them that I had a hard time using, or I thought were underpowered or overpowered. You can get just as many kills with a Steel Dragon as you could a Ballista EM3. Like, they're all really good in their own unique way, and they all take skill to use. Like, some people might go, oh, you could just spam the Eraser, but if you spam the Eraser, you run out of ammo, and you're not going to get many kills with it, so you've got to be conservative with the Eraser. With a Steel Dragon, you can't just spray it everywhere because you'll run out of ammo and you'll lose it. Ballista, you've got to be really accurate. You don't get many shots with that, but it's nearly a guarantee kill even through a wall with that gun. Equalizer, they're really fun to use, but again, if you just spray this everywhere, they're really inaccurate at long range. You've got to close that gap, which kind of fits into Synaptic's gameplay style. So it's really good and really well done and balanced, in my opinion. The whole gunplay in this game feels really good as well. Like, the energy guns feel really nice to use, surprisingly. They do feel like ballistic guns, but they have a real punch to them, which I really like. Especially with their new hit marker sound, it feels like you're really hitting them, which is awesome, and they're really fun to use. Like, my favorite gun is actually an energy gun, which is the ERAD. Now, a lot of people probably won't like the energy guns because it's all future based and all this and that, but like, I find them really fun to use. I think it was done in a good way. Like, they don't feel cheesy, they feel really fun to use and kind of in a way authentic, even though that's hard to say because it's a laser gun, but you know, it's still really fun to use. And of course the ballistic weapons still feel really fun as well, and there's a good amount of ballistic weapons in this game. Like, a lot of people thought it would be laser gun warfare, but it's really not. You'll find most people will use the bullet based weaponry, which is fine by me. The actual balancing of the weapons is good. I haven't seen any that are dramatically overpowered, but a lot of people seem to gravitate towards the Karma 40, which is the kind of like vector submachine gun with dual mags. It's a good gun. I don't think it's too OP. Maybe it could be nerfed a little bit, but it doesn't bother me too much. I think it's more the snipers that, in my opinion, I don't really like too much. The sidearms are really good in this game. In Black Ops 3 they kind of started it with that game where the sidearms were actually decent to use as primary weapons. You could arguably say they were in Black Ops 2 as well in some of the older games, but I felt like I could use any of them in Black Ops 2, like the LCAR, the RK5 or the MR6. They were actually all really good to use. This game, it's exactly the same thing. The EMC is really powerful, especially if you've got a good trigger finger. And the Oni is really fun to use. It's kind of like a BAL 27 but in a pistol, which is insane. Obviously it doesn't have the range, but it's really powerful up close, and I really like using that gun. The launchers are much better balanced in this game because the P-Law takes some skill to use. It has no lock on. You actually have to charge it and then predict where it's going to go, kind of like the Banshee shotgun in Black Ops 3. It rewards people who can track and kind of like predict where a score streak is going to go. So that's quite a good one to use. And the Spartan is obviously like your RPG against infantry, or quickly shoot out a UAV with it or something like that. The taunts and gestures are really better done in this game. So you can do the taunts in game and the gestures are done at the end of the game. They're a little bit glitchy at the moment, I find, but still I think they're done a lot better. The mission teams are something new to this game. I really enjoy the mission teams. I think it adds a new depth to the game. It's so much better than the field orders that were in Ghosts. It kind of feels like the same thing, but it's done so much better. So this time you have 3 of them when you've leveled up your mission team enough to choose from, and then you can go into that game with that mission, and then it doesn't matter if you fail it, it literally has no hindrance to you. If you complete it, you can then go ahead and get bronze honors, silver honors, or gold honors for making really good progress on that mission, and doing that will rank up your mission team faster, which means potentially you get more salvage, you get more mission team rewards like gear, calling cards. There's just so much depth and progression to this game. I feel that it's done really well. I think at the moment in its current build, this is my favorite Call of Duty game, and I know a lot of people probably don't think the same purely because it's set in the future, and I think in a way that's not really fair because yeah, it's set in the future, but a setting doesn't dictate if it's going to be a good game or not. Like, if it was set in World War II, yeah, it was horrible. Let's say it was like Ghost, where the maps were massive, and you had loads of recoil, and you had campers with like bouncing betties that were like mini nukes or something like that. No one would like that game, even though it's World War II, you know what I mean? Like, the setting isn't everything. It's everything to do with the features and the gameplay, and I think Infinite Warfare has done that right. So that's something that I just wanted to say about the game. People should give it a chance, maybe play the beta, see what you think about it before, you know, giving it massive amount of hate for no particular reason. But anyway, that was my kind of review on it, and if you can't tell, I've got a cold and I feel really ill, but I wanted to make this video anyway. I haven't posted some videos in a long time, but I've done some spawn themes, which I know a lot of you guys wanted, so you can check them out as well, and I'm going to work on the victory themes fairly soon. So anyway, thanks for watching guys, and I will see you on the next video. Hotel Delta out.